Hi, 1 and 2-year-old leaders. We're preparing for June 16th in our summer 2019 series. Last week we talked about Hannah and Samuel, and this week we're going to continue in the book of 1 Samuel and go through chapters 4 through 6. During this time, the Israelites continued to battle with the Philistines. To give you just a brief reminder, the Philistines is where Goliath he came from that tribe or that people group. And so the Israelites continued to battle with the Philistines for the promised land. And obviously they had some big people, and there was just always a power struggle. And so in our story today, we're going to look and see how the ark was captured. Not the ark that Noah was on, but the ark of God, also known as the Ark of the Covenant. Remember in Exodus, God gave Moses specific instructions to build a box that they stored the 10 Commandments in. And when whenever the Israelites moved from area to area, the ark was carried by the priests into the area, and that ark was a symbol that God was with them. And so remember a couple weeks ago we talked about how God had the Israelites take the ark into the Jordan River, and the symbolization of God being there with the Israelites helped stop the water so that the Israelites could walk across on dry land and to get to the other side, the promised land that God had promised them. So there's a lot of significance in this box, this really fancy gold box. And so what happens is the Israelites kept losing to the Philistines, and so they decided to take this box into battle with them. And when they did that, of course, the Philistines took the box, and the Israelites still lost. So it wasn't necessarily that God wasn't with them. They just were not following God's laws and God's rules, and they continued to sin. And so God did not show them favor in their battles with the Philistines. And so when the Philistines took the box, unfortunately, God knew that they had this box, and he did punish them. Wherever the box was in the Philistine villages, those people got very sick, and they would move it around to a different village, and all of those people would get sick. And then they moved it a third time, and all of those people got sick. And so they decided finally that it's because of this box that they were getting sick, and that their God, Dagon, was stronger than the Israelites' God. And so they sent the box back to the Israelites. They hitched it up to a couple of cows and sent it back into the promised land to the Israelites for them to have the ark back. And so it's going to be a fun story this week to work through with the kids. And I think the biggest thing there's two big things to take away from this is that we can trust God to use his power to do what is best. That even though we're not winning, that doesn't necessarily mean that God's not with us, right? Or even though we're not getting what we want, that doesn't mean that God's not with us, or that God doesn't have a different plan, or that plan's not ready yet. And then I think the other thing we can see is that when God made the way for Jesus to be born, and when Jesus came and died, and all that is entailed with Jesus being that perfect sacrifice for us, that God was making a way for him to continually be with us, that we didn't necessarily have to have that ark and that box with us, but that God was with us through his son Jesus, and there was never going to be a separation from him again. And so he again was preparing the Israelites for that coming in many, many more years, but they kept taking things into their own hands. So your small group activity today, you are going to have a box that'll be wrapped in yellow paper. And you can hide it around the room if you want to. I realized recently, being with some older preschoolers, that sometimes you don't have to hide it real well. You can hide it in plain sight and it still can be hard to find. And so if you just want to put it on the table behind you and ask the kids to find a way to get the box, without you tagging them, or if you want to use one of your junior helpers or your teen helpers to help you, you can have them be the one that tags. Remind them, though, that these are little kids, and so we want to give the kids the chance to get the box. And if they capture the box, then they can they can be it the next time. All right, and then your memory verse is, no one is like you, Lord. You are great, and your name is mighty in power. Jeremiah 10:6. And so if you want to add signs to that, no one is like you, Lord. You are great, and your name is mighty in power. Have fun with this lesson this week. You have a coloring page if you want to pass that out. And I know these coloring pages are a little challenging for little hands, but the reason we give you these is because of all of the information on the back side of this, so that families have a chance to see what we're teaching kids every week and an opportunity to potentially continue what we're teaching them at home. So if they can't color it, that's okay. We really just want the paper to go home so that the families can see the activities on the back and the story that we're teaching kids. Thank you for leading. Feel free to reach out to me at any time if you need any help. And I just want to encourage you. We are seeing amazing growth within our children's ministries right now. And I think that that's all because of you. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your consistency to show up and love kids right where they are. We're going to continue to grow throughout the summer. I'm sure of it. Watching the numbers. And likely before school starts again, we'll be up close to 300 kids per weekend. And that's just amazing God numbers. So thank you for leading. Thank you for being uncomfortable some weeks with a lot of kids and a lot going on. What you are doing is building relationships that build disciples. And we're beginning to see the fruit, not just in numbers, but also in consistency of families coming back and being a part of what we're doing at Parkway. Thank you for your leadership.